But that was my thought.
One of the things that we had talked about in the past with just some of the staff is, the fact that we're not able to review minutes ahead of the time that it gets to council. Same with if we're going to have any communication with council or answer questions or anything like that, that doesn't allow much time. So we're not able to review what's actually being communicated to council, to agree that that's accurate before it ever goes.
Well, council packets go out on Thursday. So this software program will generate the minutes. It'll make the process much smoother than it has been in the past. Quite honestly, nobody in administration has ever even seen anything that comes to you guys, which has been an issue with why we've had items that are not properly worded recently, right? So they get delayed. The process, starting with the next meeting, will have another step of review in it. So when it gets on the agenda, it'll actually be accurate. So we've been very inefficient, and we're trying to fix that. And like I said, moving the meeting is just one of those steps in the process to make it closer to council. Most council watches this meeting live, so they know what's going on. Maybe not in the past. Council hasn't been as interested in what's happened here, but the group that sits on council now, they are, and they do know what's going on. I know that they have regular communication with Kevin. I know that the mayor and council members and I all have regular communication of what's going on beforehand. So they're not informed by the time uninformed by the time it gets to you. Okay. So anyway, I know that's a concern, but we're definitely working on that. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I think too that if we had something like that, I can see it from both sides, but we do have some cases that are no issues. But then we also, if we had something that we wanted more information on, you could table it. So if we had 1 out of 10 that needed some more review, you could just table it. And
that's exactly right.
Yeah, and I certainly don't claim to have the knowledge of what all the software and other things that you guys are working on are going to help to improve that. So I'll yield to your expertise on that.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
And I do think the having it online, having it available to go back and watch has made it much easier for council to do it at their leisure whenever they have time to. It's just
I agree.
Yes, sir.
Very helpful.
Yep.
So. Any other discussion? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'm not sure how it's worded, but I'll make a motion to approve that our meeting is on the 4th Tuesday of every month, starting in April 2021.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Shane Thurl. It might be a big. Keep going. Okay. Okay. Item number 3, consideration case PC 2021-07, request for approval of a replat for property located at Wilson Street and Marie Drive. Mr. Cook.
So this is a piece of property at Wilson and Marie. It's actually 2 pieces of property, I'm sorry. And the owner would like to make it 1 piece of property. It'll total about an acre. They're 2 half-acre lots. It is in the city limits. It is in a nice neighborhood that also has some other oversized lots. We have one comment here from legal that we could consider this the way it's written, contingent that the plat be amended to include lot numbers other than what is shown. If you look at the lot shown, they've circled it and drawn in, and it shows lot 2 and lot 3. And according to the platting procedures, that really should all be one lot, either 2A or tract 1 or something like that. So it's really grammatical wording. They're going to have to go get this redrawn and back in time to present to council. And at that time, if it's correct, then they could go on your recommendation to pass it.
So you're saying they're, in their replat, they're gonna have to just rename that from lots 2 and 3?
Yeah, lot 2 and 3 should go away, and it should be one parcel of land.
Yeah, okay.
And it's either going to be lot 2A or tract 1 or something along those lines. We don't like to reuse the same names. Lot 2 shows up
Sure.
again, then
Yeah.
it gets confusing, so. And we've talked to the owners, and they've agreed to get this thing rolling pretty quick. So, again, if you elect to pass, I would just help you would include contingent that the plat be amended to include proper lot numbers.
I move to approve contingent upon the, it being redrawn from 2 lots to 1 and renumbered.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Depends on how you feel this last item's gonna take.
Item number 4, consideration case PC 2021-01, consideration of new draft of the comprehensive plan and future land use map. Mr. Cook?
Okay, so on this one, that you've been included the new draft of the comprehensive plan. There are some changes and alterations that are marked in red in that draft. Also a final picture of the future land use map that's been altered and shown how it's been altered to your liking or for your amusement. I think the right way to do this would not be to adopt this as your final plan tonight. I think we want to present this to you to look over and study, and at the next meeting, show you the final plan, and then let you either do or don't recommend that to council. Okay, so that's kind of the plan. That would also buy you some time tonight. You can kind of take this home and study it a little bit. If you have any discussion, I'd be happy to try to help. I have not read every change in this. I've gone through it pretty quickly. Most of it looked pretty good to me, but I don't know what instruction she was given, maybe even by you guys, in these changes. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear.
So is there any action needed this evening on this?
Not really, because it can be, you can take no action and it can be replaced on the agenda. It doesn't have to be tabled or anything necessarily. So, yeah, we don't even necessarily have to take action if you're happy with what you see.
I looked through this, and I do have one comment, and I don't know how to get this in, or if it needs to be in, or if we need to update our ordinances accordingly. But all throughout our planning and zoning ordinance, it defines major and minor streets as determining different things throughout our planning ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
and it says those streets are defined in the map. So I'm wondering, do we need to define that here, or do we need to define that in our zoning map? So should those
So-
road definitions be defined on this future land use map or in our current zoning map?
I think your zoning map,
Or-
in putting it together and putting pink here and yellow there, you've used those street designations to help make that decision.
Correct. But,
So-
but nowhere do we define major street and minor street
In your
on a
comprehensive
map.
plan?
In our plan, we don't define that anywhere.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering, do we need to define that in this? Or do we need to go back and amend our ordinances to get rid of that language? I'm not saying we should get rid of the language, but right now, we don't have a way
I
to,
think getting rid of the definition of major and minor is the wrong answer. I think we
agree.
need to bring that over to your comprehensive plan in some fashion.
Yeah.
And I will make notes of that and get back with Danielle to try to accommodate that.
Okay.
Because it means way more than just zoning, and you know that.
Oh, yeah, and it was, anyway, it's in there a lot. And the more I've read through it, the more I see that it helps determine decisions in some of those ordinances. But like I said, we don't have those defined anywhere, so I feel like we need to
Sure.
get them defined. And it specifically says that they're defined in the land use map. So,
Okay.
that was really the only other comment I had after reviewing the changes that Danielle put together.
On the future land use map, one thing I noticed is on Mockingbird Lane and Washington. So if we go, it's got that red where we had rezoned that land to R1. Carol Hutchins' in-laws. So I was just wanting to bring that up to it's already been, that's the one they had several meetings about getting that rezoned, so I noticed that.
In what color is it now? I'm sorry?
Red?
Which means commercial?
Yep,
The entire property is?
yep.
Interesting. The eastern half, or the eastern portion of that property was always red.
Yep.
But I have not studied this map in in fashion yet. I will make a note on that one as well, though.
Page like 85, well, it shows yeah, right here, at Mockingbird. You know, it should be red right along Washington. But this back over here is the land that they changed the zoning to R1.
So it should be low-density residential.
And I don't know if it went all the way to Washington, but that's just my closest.
It does not go all the way to
Yeah.
Washington.
Okay, along Washington, there is commercial, but there's a big chunk right there that's R1 that shows to be commercial, so.
Okay.
And I think it has been changed on one of these other ones, but that just commercial going beyond University to the north. I think it got, in one of the changes there, I believe it got back down to,
She also probably doesn't have the history with that property that we do, and knowing that it's zoned R already, we need to think about that.
I think she's got it outlined, change of, yeah, I think she's got it there. And this is more of just me seeing things that had already been rezoned that
Sure.
I didn't want to, we could fix it now fairly easily.
Already have a couple of questions. So, I should know what this is, but I don't know what it is. I know it says it's city property, the black chunk between Timberline and First Avenue, but what is that property? By the railroad track?
Does it say city property? Yeah, it's Public Works compound. We have lagoons and trash trucks and all that out there.
Gotcha. The other question that I had is the recreation area. I'm assuming, I only see the one recreation area. Is that, no, I see two, never mind. But what are we looking at for inclusion in those recreation areas?
I cannot speak to that.
Okay.
And I apologize, but I don't know how she's gone through the recreation. Where's the area that you see?
Well, the one that I was asking about, I think is by the sports complex or the multi-sports
Okay.
complex. I just wasn't sure which the sports.
So I wonder if it's commercial recreation or if it's sporting recreation.
I don't know, and it caught my attention because there's a big area of mint and then there's a little area of commercial in between there, so I just wasn't sure.
The highway likely would be commercial, right? And then you would have things that might be in that area that they consider entertainment recreational. I don't know, bowling alleys, soft pit, batting cages, that kind of stuff, which is kind of commercial rec, because it's so near the complex. That would make sense. The only other thing would be, it's purely for more baseball fields and such. Could be recreational as well. I'm not really sure which direction she's going with that. Again, I didn't help her to create it, so. But I would encourage all of you to email some of these questions to her, and she will follow up or should follow up with you on them.
That little piece of red that's in that recreation, is that, like Texoma Millwright Steel Shop that's been there forever?
Okay.
So it's on the side with the golf course?
It's kind of an odd piece of privately held property that's surrounded by all city property. Because
Yeah.
you've got the old golf course on one side and then the sports complex on the other.
And there's a manufacturing
and
plant
the
and a
manufacturing
farmhouse.
plant right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that's been there forever, that got swallowed up by city property.
And we have some of that. We're gonna be fighting that battle for a few years.
So do we say we're gonna table this, or is it no action? Okay.
Any other discussion? I'll believe it when I see it. Good?
Yeah, if you don't have any more questions,
Okay.
like I said, feel free to email her, myself as well. You can tie us together and we'll make sure you get your answers for next time.
Any new business?
Not that I know of. Tell you we're still putting in water meters, but that's not really your business.
You're doing what?
Ultrasonic water meters,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
How are we looking on progress there?
We're up to about 1,500. It's a round number. I mean, it changes every day, but out of 6,000, 6,300, something like that. So on target for maybe end of fall, early winter.
Those are done by contractor, like out of,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
contractor?
We bid the project out.
Marty, I did have, oh, sorry. I had a question. On the cases that we heard last month, what did they do on the J-Mock Radio Road, Kent Daniels property, the city council?
They passed it.
It was a 4-1.
4-1.
Approval.
Yep. Yep. I don't remember, that was the only case, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you guys are happy, we can move on to regional.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second.
gonna say, I don't remember typing in my name anywhere.
When's she gonna be back? If she, where they at? Oh, really? If I, if she needs clarification when she's back, let me know. I never got to go to Hawaii. I was born on a tropical island, you know?
Which one?
Killed.
Really?
Gitmo. My neighbor, Dad was a firefighter on the Naval Base there. I lived here for about a year and a half, and I remember this much. Nothing. But it's cool that I can tell you that. Until it's pregnant, I can get in and inspect the FBI's out there. And I got a call a couple days later from Homeland Security, and she said,
Yep.
look, here, it says you're born in Cuba.
We'll call the meeting to order at 6:23. Drew, would you provide our invocation, please?
Pray with me, please. Father God, once again, we are grateful to be able to serve our area. Father God, I just ask that you give us wisdom and insight to do it well. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Stand for the flag salute, please.
I'd rather be two patriotic.
Roll call, please.
Odin Gruby, Kevin Keener,
Here?
Drew Jackson,
Here.
Shane Knight,
Here.
Clint Horner, Whitney Kerr, Brandon Wall, Ron Boyer,
First item of business, consider approval of our minutes from our regular meeting from January 19th, 2021.
I don't remember what we did there.
I think all we did there is call to order and adjourn. Well,
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
we have a motion and a second.
You say you are.
Item number 2, discussion of state statutes and authority given to the Regional Planning Commission. Mr. Cook?
I'm not real sure where you want to go with this. You've been given a copy of the state statutes in your booklet. I've read through most of them. They're pretty self-explanatory on your powers and duties. But I'm not sure what the intent tonight was. This is just this discussion, so I guess it's an open discussion. It doesn't look like an action item. But if you had any questions or anything that I could help with or we could figure out together, I would expect that at some point, we need to come up with, you know, what your, kind of your base requirements are gonna be based on these guidelines, so.
I think part of it may have been at my request, just so that we could have these, you know, established where we could look and review, and
Sure.
as we're having conversations about how to set this thing up,
I think it's important to keep these in your back pocket,
to reference.
absolutely.
So, thanks.
Yeah, I don't know that, I don't know that I had any further questions on it either. I had read over them before. I think there was some questions early on about, you know, what authority.
Well, and I think this clears that up.
Yeah.
I think the next move with this as a guide might be a good idea to have staff start working on your, you know, your primary requirements, the very bottom level, the very first things you want to, based on these, how do you want to hold them accountable? I think it's mostly here. You just need kind of a plan of action for the first time you get somebody submit a question to you, right? So I think you start out pretty small with that and you build on it. But I think it'd be real easy to come up with a couple pages worth of information that could be your bylaws almost, or your guidelines for moving forward.
I think, just for context, I think some of the questions that we had were, you know, one, who is authorizing it? Is it the city? Is it county commissioners, et cetera? You know, from what I understand, this is still a city or municipal commission that's serving in the capacity of, serving a greater area.
I believe it says here the municipal agency has the ability to do this.
Yeah.
So it is a city commission. And it integrates with the county intentionally. That's why you have a commissioner on the board and a county engineer and some of those people. And it gives pretty clear guidelines on how the clerk should handle anything that didn't go through the process at the county. And I think I even saw ticketability in there. Get a ticket for $200 if you don't comply, you know. So there's some things here we'll have to work through, I'm sure, with the county cooperating with the city on it. I'm not sure, and John, who's going to write the ticket? Is that a city police officer or a county sheriff? Or, you know, those are things we got to maybe do a little research and look into for it. Maybe it's a code enforcement officer. Not real sure. So, but I think the next step might be to kind of get staff to start working on I don't want you sitting here for 6 months and still hadn't got anything done.
Yes.
Even if it's just a couple pages, nice bylaws, the guidelines for the ground, and then you can build off that. You got to start somewhere.
So was it confirmed that this is a recommending commission to county commissioners?
The way I read this, you make the call. You don't recommend it to county. This board of 10, or however many there are, says yes or no, and if there's a discrepancy beyond that, it goes to district court.
I know that was something that we had discussed.
Now, again, the county's represented in this board.
I would ask you to withstand that until you get legal advice on it. Your interpretation is not totally correct.
The way I read the bottom of this,
What you're doing is you're stepping on other statutes in the Constitution, and I don't think that supersedes them. So we need to get legal advice on this.
fair enough. We probably should have legal involved anyway
Yeah.
at this creation point. Again, I'm
Otherwise,
not,
it'll back up on us.
I'm just telling them what I read, so.
No, I understand.
I think that's a good point to make, as we're moving forward, trying to write bylaws, that's gonna set forward, how we need to proceed in all areas. I think having clear answers is,
Well, and I think we might ask John to help us have Markham available
I'm not saying that it's gotta be today.
periodically to
just,
review
for
this stuff
discussion.
too. So,
Can we make a request to our legal counsel, your case Tom, and in my case Tim? They know each other real well. Let them get together and put together a straw man on what they think it says, and then present it to the body after that.
John, is Tom Markham officially the representative for this board?
Yes, he is.
For our end of it? Okay, I thought he was. Yeah, and again, that's not a bad idea.
That way we don't waste time arguing legalese. 'Cause
We're looking for collaboration.
Yeah.
And I think everybody understands this. I certainly have zero dog in the fight whatsoever. I'm pushing for clarification.
Yeah. No, we got you.
I don't think we're making any progress. The last one of these meetings I was at, we had the same issue.
We have the same discussion every meeting.
I agree. We need to go ahead and take the initiative to get our legal counsels together and start working on this.
Email received.
No, that isn't.
Email received.
Oh, right, already.
I might, have an additional recommendation, while we're having the attorneys put their heads together, maybe even a, review of this information and a draft of bylaws might be helpful.
I think it all
This
could
is
be
not
worked
gonna
on.
This is not gonna be the only question on procedures.
Sure.
The one thing that we might give our attorneys is what is the goal of the commit, as they start to look at the law, they're gonna wanna know how we're going to apply it. And what is the goal of this group as it.
And that's why you need this basic guideline package.
Yeah.
What are we aiming for? And I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what is our goals? Give it to the attorneys, let them see if they can shoehorn it into the statute somehow and go for it.
I'm gonna be very frank. I think we've already had these discussions, and at one point, legal counsel was in the room when we had these discussions. And it's all come back to staff is gonna start putting some things together, but we're here with nothing to look at yet.
So that's the
So,
part
I mean,
where we
I
broke
think
down.
we just need to get some stuff put together to at least start talking about.
Okay.
I agree, Shane.
We're having the same meeting every month.
It also says compensation here, we're gonna serve without pay. We couldn't get that, dialed up on that a little bit.
You got stuck on that one right there.
That's pretty clear.
He didn't make it very far.
Yeah, we need clarification on without pay. We didn't even know what that is.
I think the county commissioner is serving with pay though.
No, I don't get paid for these hours I'm working.
Oh, I tell you.
You get paid like I do.
Yeah.
Is he a voting member?
Yes.
Is he part of the quorum?
Yes.
Am
Okay.
I thought that form existed without my opinion.
Well, it does, but you're here, so.
So you get the opportunity while you're here. Okay. I knew there was some talk about that, so I was just curious. So if you want to move forward, I'll take staff recommendation back to staff and we'll try to get something hammered out for you. I can sit with her Monday when she gets back and see what she's got.
What guidance do we have on getting our attorneys together? Because otherwise we'll meet next month and our attorneys still won't have talk.
I think have staff contact the appropriate attorneys and set a meeting with them.
The unfortunate thing is you have to let me know because my attorney, the DA doesn't respond to the city. I have to ask you.
Yeah, so
it Tim Webster?
can you bird dog that end of
Is it
it?
Tim Webster? Okay.
Yeah,
Will-
just as soon as you let me know the details.
I'll have Danielle contact you to help get hold of Tim.
I think from a staff perspective, I think we need some direction, right, from the body. Because there's a lot of things in this, and I know that one of the things that Commissioner Boyer wanted when I first got here was the ability to control what's happening in the county, right? And so that's why we took this step to give some type of control, at least in what's happening around the 3 miles within the city limits. So that does help the county, and it also helps us for future growth, because a lot of the issues that we have are subdivisions that were built on our periphery, and then we annexed them, and they weren't built to standard. So I think,
That's in a nutshell. That's what we're trying to do, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
that's what we do. And I.
So, but I think we need to make sure that this body is on board with regulating that, which is the intent, and that's very simple, right? I mean, that's basically paragraph B of the responsibilities of the Regional Planning Commission. And if that's where the body is in support of and us moving forward, that gives staff some clear direction on how to at least start developing something for the attorneys to look at. Because without that, we just have this full document, right? And what do we focus on to begin? What is our priority? What is the priority of the commission? But like I said, I think that's paragraph B. based on conversations Commissioner Boyer and I had a long time ago, not a long, but over a year ago now. How about that? Time flies when you're having fun. So, that's my. I just want y'all to give us that guidance if that's what you're in support of, so we can move as a staff to develop something to get legal to look at, to bring back to you to move forward. So I think that's really our stumbling block.
I am
Staff-wise.
100% behind doing this. I think it's a much needed regulatory step. And I guess I didn't mean to sound curt earlier, but
No.
we kind of already had this discussion a bunch.
Like I said, I don't
and-
come to every one of these, and I know this
and-
discussion was here at the last
And
one.
I
So
think it's just a matter of putting that first draft on the board to review, and with some of those initial items that we talked about a couple of months back with, let's start with the sort of the low-hanging fruit of, roads and plating,
right.
and then kind of move up from there.
Right.
But, I don't know that, I don't know that we can do any of that other than review those first drafts and start having some discussion on them.
Right. And I know there's legal questions. I think the law is very specific. It does nowhere in it does it say this is a recommending body. I mean, it says you have approval authority.
Yeah, when you read this statute, it reads as though it gives the, as though it gives the more permission than what this group has on city planning.
I agree, 100%.
So,
So,
What I've discovered, though, I've taken it clear up to the governor's office. They haven't got a clue what they wrote in this thing. That's why we need to get our legal guys to tell us what's written.
yeah, the only way you're really going to get it is to do something, take action, and somebody sue you.
See if it backs
Yeah.
up on
That's exactly how the law works, right?
yeah.
It's all good until somebody calls you on it. So, you can get all the legal opinions you want, and they're still going to sue you if they don't like it, and,
If I don't get my DA, I don't wanna be sued, cause then I gotta pay for the lawyer, if long as the DA agrees.
I got you. But I think that's a starting point. If we could get that, we don't have to worry about 10 pages of stuff to go through. We can focus on one section at a time and
Yeah.
expand as we learn and go, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cause I think you'll discover things along the way that we hadn't even thought of.
No, I think you're right, Ron.
And I think our discussions before were, we have the, some of these here, we wanted some direction on, if that happened, we get down the road, we do get sued, and they say, well, how'd you guys get started? Who commissioned you to start doing this in the first place? And,
The state legislature.
yeah, so we wanted somebody to,
But they're slippery.
yeah.
Now, I just need the two guys that would defend us if we did get sued, to agree.
But they need something to work with,
Yeah,
and we got to give them that, so a starting point.
and it could be that simple, one paragraph or two sentences you to standardize, what's going on in 3 miles away from this place.
Well, I think if you just take paragraph B, we really already have that in our ordinances, right? So that would be simple for staff to design and say, this is where we should be going forward. And then let you guys review it and then take that to legal and say,
Yeah. Yes,
what's
no,
your
they-
opinion? That's right, that's
Yeah,
right.
really,
So-
that's what I guess they're gonna do, is they're gonna take whatever we tell them. They're gonna look at it and say, all right, the law allows you to do it, or the law tells you you can't do it.
Right.
So I understand you're just looking for some, support to get started. As you worded it earlier, I think is as good a summary as I've heard, what the goals and objectives are, so.
Okay, so we'll move forward and develop based on paragraph B, and then we'll
Yeah.
expand from there down the road.
I think so. I'm obviously no attorney, but in my mind, it is one of those things where you can just, if I were writing this, it would be in accordance with statute X. This
Right.
board
Exactly.
plans to or is responsible for A through F. And at least that's a start to go from.
I read lots of these statutes on a daily basis. This is probably one of the more clearly written ones that we have.
I was shocked at what I read because it felt like it gave the commission more authority than I would have thought. Yeah.
That's what's shocking to me, is it seems to give us more authority over something that is questionable if we have jurisdiction over. I mean, in my mind, I know it says we do, but
Well, that's what my big question is.
yeah.
If you read the statutes, what's responsible, where the jurisdiction is, one of these is walking on the other one. Which one it is, I have no clue.
And that just see, I guess I'm maybe getting the cart before the horse, but if you have a rub with a developer, they say, we elected you, and these other people are telling us what to do. We didn't elect them. So that's my thought of what happens then. It's like you're elected to govern, and we are not. Right. That's what I'm,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
I hear you.
Yeah, I truly believe that this legislation was modeled after the Texas ETJ legislation that was in place in the 60s, and then this was in place in the 70s, which gives you authority outside the city limits. Of course, Texas, you can go up to 10 miles outside of the city limits, depending on the size of the municipality. It's as little as half a mile and as much as 10 miles. But, I mean, this is very similar to the Texas legislation for ETJ, so at least, I don't know statewide how it would shake out in, the Oklahoma Supreme Court, but it works in Texas, so.
It's nonsensical to even write the statute unless the city has the authority to act within the 3-mile buffer zone. Otherwise, if the commissioners are doing it, we're back to where we were to begin with.
Exactly right. And I think that's why it says that you have approval authority, right? So if not, it's a waste of legislation, which we do have that. So,
In Oklahoma, no.
yeah. So anyway, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item, number 3, discussion and possible action regarding the 3-mile buffer zone maps. Mr. Cook?
Sorry. It was your show. It was your show, and I've kind of taken over, right? So we're working with Meshach and Associates to develop some mapping for us. Just to be honest with you, I am not a fan of this map that you have provided. It does not really define the 3 miles within the city limits effectively. If you look at our city limits and how we look, and then you look at that map and it's all squared off, I think there's lots of places in that map that's probably greater than 3 miles that's in that boundary area. No, it was in the packet. So my recommendation would be that you take no action on this map, and the map that we have Meshach in the process of creating, that we take some action on that in the future. So, but Meshach guaranteed us that they could provide a map that actually outlined our 3-mile border, so there wouldn't be any question on what's in or out.
So is it going to go, I think we had talked before, we had a couple of maps, one was bubbled and then the other one actually is on either I don't know if it's section line or road
Right.
line. So
Right.
will it go with, have
It
a
will
divider?
actually be they told us that they could go exactly 3 miles from the city limits. So no matter how we're shaped and run all funky, it would actually be 3 miles from any point of the city limits.
Okay.
So,
That'd be great.
right. I don't know how close we are. I think they gave us like an 8-week timeline for the process, and I don't even know if they've started on it yet. So I know we worked on the PO. Brenton's not paying attention, but it was probably a week or so ago. So we're probably 3 months out realistically from that map. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
but we're probably that far out anyway from getting something to actually work on. So, yes, sir. Okay. So, yeah, we're probably 3 months out. So, but it is movement, and we don't really need it until we have what you guys are going to regulate anyway. So,
So I'm just thinking about if we get a plat, we get a developer in the county, how are they going to be informed that they have to bring that plat to us? The commissioner or the county?
the county should inform them. We should inform them. It's going to have to be a joint process because it's going to be something that's totally new, right? I mean, we're working through platting issues in the city. I mean,
Yeah.
the plat that you considered in the previous meeting, right? I mean, it didn't meet state standards.
Right.
So, and that's something that's been enacted a long time. So we're still working through all those issues, and it'll take a while. It won't be perfect, right? But the county should not be able to file it, right? The county clerk shouldn't be able to file it without approval of this board once it falls in that 3 mile an hour or 3 mile buffer zone. So that's our real check, is the county clerk's office. So. I know, but by law, that is the check, right? That's the final check, is they're not supposed to record it unless it has the appropriate certifications and approvals. So, and
This will,
That's one of the big questions is, one of the requirements is the county commissioner has to sign off on that map. So we're gonna have a county commissioner and this board signing at the same time? Because it's a statute requirement that we sign on.
You can have many.
sure, you can have as many signatures as you want to, right? I mean, the county treasurer's got to sign off on it, that you paid your taxes, right? I mean, so there's a lot of signature. That's just another signature block on the plat. So that's,
yeah, that's what I was thinking, like all those blocks on a plat that get the signatures, this,
Yep.
this board would become one of those blocks.
yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
And if it's inside the city, you already are.
Correct.
Now, if it's in
Right.
that buffer zone, you're
Correct.
gonna be that block as well.
So are the other commissioners, are they on board with this idea, or?
Like I said, we're gonna have to just tell them, I can't tell them what it said and what's not, because I can say the way we're framing it now, we may have an issue.
Oh.
But I would tell you that based on state law, they don't have a choice. It's not in their wheelhouse to say yay or nay. It's in Title 11 that gives the city the authority to do that. And I understand it's stepping on toes, but state law trumps any other law.
I think
So-
the state law has given the city the opportunity to protect itself from outside entities that aren't built to
So
stand.
we've got Title 19 that's stepping all over Title 11, so who's gonna do it? And I'm ruled by Title 19. So that's why we need lawyers to tell us how the heck this works. 'Cause I'm not
pretty-
gonna step out
it's
on
pretty
that
simple.
unless I got it.
It's pretty simple. This body takes action and the county commissioners sue them. We'll figure it out at that point, right? The courts will.
If we gotta go that route, that's an expensive experiment.
It works in other places. So I think we're just getting excited about something that's not even come to fruition.
Someone to
So,
tell me it works. I have to, everything I do in life has to be approved. So I want somebody in legal to tell me, yes, go for it.
right now, you don't have anything to go forth on except state law that says go forward.
I'm not allowed to react on state law. That is also on my wheelhouse. I have to have a DA to give me the authorization.
Well, this entity is authorized by state law to do what we're talking about doing. So, I mean, we can argue this back and forth on it forever and get nowhere like we've been for the last 6 months. I mean,
Hopefully we can
that's
put some
fine.
information together
So.
and get the attorneys together
So.
and work on it. I mean, it's
Yep.
obviously a work in progress, so.
Yep.
No use to be elevated at the moment.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so
But
we're
back
gonna-
to the
we're gonna-
map.
We're gonna
Yeah.
table item 4.
No, no action.
Yeah, I'll just take no
Oh,
action.
there's no action, okay.
Why does it take so long?
You're kidding. Any new business? Same old business? We have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second, sorry.
We have a motion and a second?
You've adjourned, I got a question though. Who took the action item to get the summary together and get this before the attorneys? So far, I've heard that we're not taking any action, so who's the driving force to get it to where we need to be so we can take action?
They directed staff. We're gonna have staff.
Yeah, we directed staff
Yeah.
on an item 2.
On the previous item, we directed staff to do that.
We'll handle it.
That item there just had discussion, and then, yeah. We're adjourned.
Here's how it works, Ron. Staff doesn't do it, and that staff gets in trouble. That's the way it works.
You back out there?
Got the notes?
I've gotten too many times
have a